I'm back full time. It's great. It's wonderful to be back.
We are hearing tonight for the first time from Maricopa County Attorney Allister Adel after emergency surgery for bleeding on her brain on election night.
She spent months in the hospital recovering, and as you heard, she is back on the job full-time now. Nicole Kreitz spent some time with her earlier today. Nicole, there was speculation for some time about whether she'd even be able to come back at all.
Yeah, I spent about an hour with her in her office today. She's in good spirits. She said her husband bought her an expensive wig and she prefers not to wear it to just own this. More proud than embarrassed about her recovery, and she certainly has come a long way.
I'm feeling great. Thank you so much for asking. You know what? This has been a journey, but I'm grateful to be sitting here with you today.
Maricopa County Attorney Allister Adel has been easing her way back into the office. You can see the scar on her head and her hair still slowly growing in. The glasses are also new, helping her with occasional lingering imbalance.
My lead doctor and surgeon said, "You're going to see a difference every single day." And I didn't believe him at first. I was like, my goodness, you just were in my head. How is that even possible? And, you know, as you can see from the short hair and my scar, I mean, it was certainly an extensive surgery.
And we just found out for the first time today, the fall in her home actually happened a couple nights before Election Day.
When I tripped on the edge of what my Zoom station was, and I hit my head on the table that was there. At first, I just was like, oh, I hit my head. And my husband started seeing other signs like my eye.
She didn't pass out, but it did cause an internal brain bleed. And when her husband got her to the hospital days later, she needed emergency surgery.
They actually took out all this part of my skull to let the swelling on my brain go down.
She was out and didn't even get to watch the election night returns.
I didn't find out until a few days after the results had been finalized when my husband told me, "Hey, you won."
She knows now just how close it was. One reason she told her doctors she needed to be 100% to rebuild trust in her and her office.
They've been telling me I've made a remarkable and speedy recovery, and I shouldn't have any lasting effects from this at all, whether we're talking cognitive, physical, anything like that.
And she'll need her strength, facing public protests for a handful of police use of force cases already this year.
The lack of accountability is a joke, in my opinion. It's a joke.
She doesn't think the Phoenix City Council's unanimous decision to pay $3 million to the family of an Ahwatukee father shot by police after she decided against criminal charges for that officer was necessarily a referendum against her office.
That was an absolute tragedy. But legally, what the officer thought was happening at the time is what we have to work with.
And she says she's more than willing to listen and change course when she needs to, like last week's decision to drop criminal street gang charges against a group of Black Lives Matter protesters who would have faced up to 32 years if convicted. She doesn't take allegations of political prosecutions lightly, especially since one of her predecessors, Andy Thomas, was disbarred for it.
I'm not my predecessors. I'm proud to be the first woman elected, and I will make this community proud.
She is committed to not only healing herself, but our community as a whole as well. And she missed Thanksgiving. When it comes to COVID, her boys' birthdays. The kids go back to school next week, by the way. On the flip side, because of the pandemic, more than 90% of her office is still working from home. So in some ways, that's at least helped ease her transition back.
And Nicole, I mean, so nice to hear from her that she's doing well. Where is she at in her recovery? I imagine she's still got a road ahead in terms of rehab and whatnot.
Yeah, she does. And, you know, we talked about that balance, why she's still wearing the glasses. She said one thing that she had to work on, you know, you always talk about like the things that you take for granted. She had to really work on her handwriting again, those fine motor skills and dexterity. And she says she's getting better and stronger by the day. One other crazy thing I didn't get to include in the story is when she mentioned them removing that part of her skull, it was actually on the left side to relieve the brain swelling. She got to go home for the weekend around New Year's Eve, went back in the first week of January. They replaced it. So she had, that was missing from the side of her skull for a full couple months there. Just took 3 days and she's back, and she says every day getting stronger.
Unbelievable. Well, just a great interview. And again, your full interview, I think, is online at azfamily.com if anybody would like to see the whole thing.
Yeah, a lot of ground to cover there. I know you were in there for an hour. Nicole, thanks so much.